Welcome to Derek's epilogue. Wow. Um, we've came a long way. We've had some heartbreak. Well, heartbreak. We've been, well, actually, so me tell you, why don't we let the in-between session tell us? I mean, that's what it's here for, isn't it? And so, your days growing up in the loving cradle of Sunset Bud came to an end. In the years that passed since graduation, you moved out of your childhood home and made your own way in the world. You lived with Cove, his fish, and the pets you picked. And you had a business of your own in the gaming industry. Your family members went through the same kind of leaps into independence. Liz and Lee both eventually earned degrees and started fantastic careers in new towns. But your mom's and Cove's father still lived in the same street as they had for those years before. It was comforting to you that there were some things that were still. It was comforting to you that there were some things that remained in the old neighborhood. And despite the ever-changing reality of your adult life, your friends were still your friends. Though, of course, things weren't exactly the same for them either. Very recently, Terry publicly came out as a man and switched the spelling of his name to use a Y instead of an I. He also confessed his love for Miranda, which she excitedly reciprocated. They moved in together in the city out past Sunset Bud. For the person who left the town and you behind, you called and texted, and Baxter never answered. It still hurt. Any time you remembered, you were brought down. No matter how much time passed, your heart clenched every time something reminded you of Baxter. It seemed your thoughts and feelings would go unheeded by him for the rest of your life. And then Liz became the sad little boy you grew up with Holden. The deep affection for him was something that continued to last unabated over the years. He had truly thrived in his continued efforts of the cultivating love and support of relationships with him and his friends. He truly thrived in his continued efforts of cultivating loving and supportive relationships with his family and friends. You couldn't say his personality had changed exactly. Instead, it became more refined. He was warm, inviting, considerate man who took the lessons he had learned over the years to treat people around him with patience and understanding. When Cove eventually developed a picture of the future he wanted to have as an adult, it made sense. It made perfect sense to you on the basis of his interests. He went to college to study marine biology. His ultimate goal was becoming a natural resource technician, and he still volunteered with Orca when his workload allowed it. And as an adult, Cove was able to recognize and have diagnosed that he was on the autism spectrum. It was something that hadn't been noticed by his doctors as a child. But he was still the same Cove he always was to you. And he was just glad to understand himself better. It thrilled you to see how happy and successful he had grown up to be. Growth and change came for the Suarez family as well. Mr. Suarez continued to run the scuba shop with Mr. Holden, but that was the only consistent that remained. They moved into a new condo in Prison Vista City. As the three boys got older and the nest began to empty, the baby of the family, Nicholas, was eventually the only one left at home. Larry, off to a local college, staying in the dorms, Then there was the eldest son, Derek Suarez. He left the area years ago to attend out-of-state college on a sports scholarship. You kept in touch with him during those days that you had in the past. Derek had since graduated, and you were sure he would have success in whatever he pursued. The long-term direction of his career going forward was ambiguous to you, but there was still news that Derek had been able to share. He was returning to the city where he grew up in, and always, Derek had a plan. The foggy and scratched glass door of the bus swung open, with a gasp of air allowing you and the rest of the passengers to disembark at your destination. You stepped out of the massive vehicle into Prison Vista City Bus Station. Crowds of travelers bustled across the concrete floor. A constant stream of strangers came from hallways, shuttles, and other buses. The station was absolutely packed. It was vacation season. Summer had only just begun, but the California heat was already immense. You would be lucky if even a single day of your much-anticipated trip was under 90 degrees. Arriving, it was still a great relief. Steaming in the humid bus station was definitely preferable to the baking inside the metal walls of the bus itself. It was a fairly short ride over, but still. You didn't take your own car because it would have been even more inconvenient. You would be spending your time with Derek. He had his own car. Going into vehicles would make getting around harder, especially in a traffic-heavy city. It's best to save your cars the miles. One of your sweaty hands kept a slippery grip on the handle of your rolling suitcase. It was a well-worn piece, frayed at the edges, and with an annoying loose wheel on the left side that dared you to try keeping it moving in a straight line. You had it since you moved out of your mom's house, and now it would be returning with you, at least to the general area, since you wouldn't be staying in Sunset Bird. Your accommodations were there in the city. All you had to do was inform your friend Derek that you'd be ready to pick up. And so, in your other hand, was your unlocked phone with the contact screen up. You saw Derek's name and saw the last thought he had sent you, and texted him a quick message. Good luck on your trip. Let me know when to come by and I'll be ready for you. Maybe you should go in all caps, just to shout it. Derek, I'm in town now! You scooted closer to a wall, positioning yourself out of the path, but in a place that was still easily visible. It only took a minute to get situated and your phone was already buzzing with a response. Coming! You cracked a smile at the screen of your cell, and the brief message that lit it. You cracked a smile at the screen of your cell, and the brief message that lit it up. Then you put it away. He'll be there soon. There wasn't much else to do beside watch the tide of people go by and think. Recollections of how you ended up in that spot came to mind. The two of you had constantly kept in touch. You knew what was happening with you and you with him. For the past months, the catch-up calls and texts you had with Derek included updates of his process of moving. He decided to head back to the city, at least temporarily, to help his dad with his business and work on some things out for himself, for his own future career prospects. Derek kept you in the loop with his house hunting, the logistics, and the victories and the setbacks in making a major life transition. It all came together less than a month ago. The Suarez family was naturally thrilled to have him there. Harry already lived near, only 40 minutes away, and Nicholas was still at home, so the whole team could be together again. The biggest brother was just happy to return to his own stomping grounds after all the years of being away. It wasn't a familiar local for only him. Sunset Bird was the next town over. He knew that. Derek's deep voice played inside your head, the animated way he spoke through the phone a few weeks ago. The animated way he spoke through the phone a few weeks ago was fresh in your memory. He talked about how he had made it to his new apartment with an extra room, and that you should totally come and stay for a while. You'd be able to visit his brothers and parents, and your own parents in your childhood neighborhood, and you get to see him too. Finding a hotel in the area was always the biggest problem of coming back home. You had appreciated the unique opportunity Derek had provided. Though, even if he lived on the opposite end of the country, you would have tried to make it. He means more to you than a couch you could crash on. Seeing Derek was your main priority for the trip. You both worked it out so you could be there. Unfortunately, the other good pal from your youth couldn't make it. Cove Holden. He pouted a little, about not getting to see Derek or return to Sunset Bird with you. But he recovered. Especially because he would be coming later, that very summer. He simply wouldn't be able to do it twice in one season. You'll be with Cove then, and Derek would still be in town too. This time though, it would be bonding time for you and Derek. You were looking forward to the trip as much as you knew Derek was. You could already imagine his bright face grinning at you. Those idle thoughts led to idly checking the time on your phone. It had only been about 5 minutes since you sent the text. You put your phone away yet again. It was the grand transition of being in the bus station, waiting somewhere, checking the time, then looking around. You went back to the third step. Throughout the spacious area there were plenty of other travelers, repeating the exact same process as you. Other than that, people filling the space, this scene was virtually unchanged. Since the first time you had seen it, you could easily recall the exact day it was. Father's Day when you were 13. Derek had been so thoughtful, inviting you to go to his house, so you wouldn't feel lonely for the holiday. He didn't make you go through any of it on your own. It wouldn't be much longer until he was by your side again. Just thinking about it lightened your spirits. Then, and again, over the murmur of the bustling crowd, an echoing beat pounded through the air. It was the sound of rapid footsteps against the solid station floor. Pushing off from the wall, you scanned the crowd for the source. It didn't take an Ice Spy champion to notice the man in a bright sleeveless sweatshirt sprinting towards the bus landing area, like he was about to miss the last ride of the day. But he didn't have a map, bags, or a ticket in hand. He wasn't there to go anywhere else. He had somebody to see. And that was you. Derek had made it. Oh boy! Our second boy! Oh, I look so much more pale like the sign. This is 9. He looks so unimpressed as well. He neared the drop-off spot while swiveling his head. When his gaze fell on you over to the side, when his gaze fell on you over to the side, his dad abruptly came to a stop. Derek was a solid rock in the middle of a slow-moving river of unfamiliar faces. He had grown so much. A sparkling grin broke the stillness. That part of him hadn't changed. 10 years older, but just with as much boyish charm as ever. You rushed to Derek and jumped into his arms. With your suitcase rattling behind you, you pushed through the crowd. Derek turned on his heels to change the trajectory of his path. He took bounding strides to close the rest of the distance between you and him. The moment you were upon each other, you abandoned the bag and leapt at Derek.
Whoa!
Whoa! He go and held you with the expertise of someone who had years of practice with a clingy little brother. Though the way he pressed snugly against you wasn't the same kind of embrace he would give Nicholas. You hugged him back tightly, taking in his physical presence for the first time in ages. It was a wonderful start to the reunion. He then said he then set your feet safely back on the ground.
It's been a while, huh?
What's up, Callie? It's been a while, huh? Yeah, he's definitely changed from the sweet little boy I knew. He's got a fucking deep voice. With the man himself right in front of you, it was impossible to appraise him fully. It was possible to appraise him fully. As you had to do from the beginning, you looked down to see Derek's face. Despite still surpassing him in height, it was clear he had grown a lot. Derek's back! He jerked. Yeah, I am. It's good to see you, pal. Derek watched you so gently his words couldn't ring anything but true. Setting his eyes on you was something he was grateful he could do. He then heard, and hearing him call you by that long-term moniker really brought it home. That you were here. Well, home. Same to you, Derek.
You ready?
Nice. You ready to go? Got all your stuff? Yeah, it's only the suitcase. Which way are we going? That way. Derek rubbed the back of his head as his immense to tip it away. Just a bit. Do you mind having to take a stroll? I didn't bring my car. My place is about a 15-minute walk from here, and the parking is wild. I would have had to park 20 minutes away just to find something outside the apartment's reserved spot. That's the one thing about this place I didn't miss. He let out an airy chuckle, still awkwardly scratching his hair. Then we're gonna have to get in some steps. Uh-huh. This is why I took a bus instead of driving.
I got you.
Right. How's a smile cool? Oh, but, You pressed a finger to the top of your chin, thinking. You got here sooner than 15 minutes. It was barely more than 5. Yeah. He attempted to shrug casually, but a smirk tugged at his mouth.
Well...
It's 15 minutes if you walk. It goes quicker if you run. Especially when you're a fast runner. Like if you're a trained athlete, for example. Derek jumped in place to spread his feet apart and strike a superhero pose like he was still a 13-year-old. Wow, what a hunk. He fed up your praise and lifted his head even higher. Totally right. Once again, completely carefree, Derek tilted his head over the way he came. Let's go! He reached down to collect your suitcase, only to grasp empty air. He glanced towards the ground just in time to see it rolling away securely in Derek's hand. Wait, you just sprinted here. Don't make yourself carry the bag too.
It's no problem.
I'm not making myself do it. I want to do it. You took his free hand. Derek had his plan, and you had your own. You maneuvered to the side and slipped your hand around his. Oh! For an instant, he flinched at the touch, but you held firm and eased into it. I see how it is. I'm pulling the bag, but you're pulling me. Yep. I can never beat you. You and Derek left the station side by side and made your way through the vast city. He pointed out a towering building against the skyline in the distance. It was sparkling and new, and had to be at least 10 floors. That's where you were going. Having such an obvious landmark to work towards was convenient. You weren't familiar with that part of the city. The condo where the Suarez family used to live was further away from the station. It was certainly very different from Sunset Bird. You easily knew every corner of the town and could go from end to end on foot. But you continued along, certain you'd make it to your destination. Derek's pace wasn't too fast or too slow. He was conscious of the connection between you, and wasn't going to jerk you around. Derek chatted light-heartedly as your thoughts were drifting along. It felt completely natural being there with him. He didn't struggle to let you into his world. There was a place he had left open, waiting for you. Derek Suarez? His name rang in your ears. Over the years, you cherished him even more until you couldn't imagine life without him. Despite how long it had been, and despite all the years you had to spend apart, your feelings never wavered. You were in love with him. The jaunts through the city breezed by. There was so much to catch up on. Even though you didn't sprint, the 15-minute walk still felt much closer to 5. Probably speed walking then. And that's like an obvious guess. When you arrived at the ground floor of the skyscraper Derek lived in, he showed you right up. At his front door, Derek fished a key from his sweatshirts. He swung the key on a silver loop around his fingers, and joked about his near disaster from earlier that day. He'd run straight out of his house once you texted, and he had already hit the button for the elevator when he realized his apartment was left unlocked. Derek had to bolt back down the hall as the elevator arrived, lock the door, and make it to the other end before the elevator closed, but he made it. He quipped about being on such a high floor that really came in handy. The elevator had a longer way to go and gave him more time. Derek nodded with a laugh. Welcome to my house! Derek's apartment was modern, but still cozy, and completely spotless. The balcony wrapped around 2 walls of the abode. Through the crystal clear floor-to-ceiling windows, you could see the ocean.
What do you think?
It's already looking good already, huh? Too bad I didn't put any of it together. It came vanished. Now this is yours? Nah. I didn't have a lot of important stuff in my old place. Nothing worth bringing all the way over. And who knows how long I'm going to be here. Getting new things didn't sound like a great idea. We'll see what happens in the long term. I might stay longer than I think. Still, at least, for now, it's a prefab apartment it is. There's a real lack of footballs and soccer balls in here. You haven't seen my room yet. Touché? Derek cast his gaze over to the room like he was meeting a friend. He had made a good impression on you, and that had been standing proud. It had made a good impression on you, and that had him standing proud.
So...
But he cut himself off and focused his attention back on his actual guest. You can have my spare key while you're here, and I'll show you to your room, so you can put this away before we get distracted. That was said while Derek lifted up the suitcase he insisted on carrying. That'd be great. He led towards the narrow hall at the side of the apartment, and stopped right at the front. And stopped right at the first door in the path. You've arrived already. Derek opened the room for you, holding the door as you passed through. You entered your temporary bedroom. He followed you inside, still tugging the suitcase behind him. The furniture style was a perfect match to the living room area. It was easy to see that it had come as a full set. Derek set the bag up against the corner of the bed to keep out of the way.
Oh, man.
Man, it's incredible that you're here, especially now. Clara and Nico are both on summer vacation. They're looking forward to seeing you. Can you believe they're going to be juniors next year? Clara for college and Nico for high school, obviously. He spoke with an infectious, affectionate enthusiasm. He used to babysit them, and now they're practically scholars. Not to mention the fact that Clary outgrew me. I bet in a couple more years, Nicholas will too. So much for being the big brother. It was a blow to Derek, but he took it on the chin and snorting good humor. Clary might have more height, but there's no way he beats your muscle size. Yeah, That's totally true. It was a ponderous thing, hearing about other people getting older and progressing in life. Little Harry and Nicholas had grown up so much, but the same number of years had passed for you, and you were older than them. You're an adult with a business and a place of your own. You achieved more than you had hoped for. But you still felt like you were a teenager rather than a real adult. You weren't sure if you would ever reach a point where you saw yourself as completely grown. A pause had formed before you realized it. You blinked and brought your mind back to the present. Derek offered an understanding smile, then spoke to give a different type of offer.
So?
Want to see the rest of the apartment? I'll give you the tour. Yeah, that'd be great. You casually went through the still open bedroom door, and Derek shut it behind you. The Grand Tour of Derek Suarez local was started immediately. You got to see the scenic guest bathroom with all the amenities, and he showed off the vast end of the hall with a closed door. Anything could have been beyond that point. The helpful guide informed you that it was his bedroom. Isn't it crazy? Having the master bedroom at the end of the hall. Sometimes I still look down there and think it's gonna be my mom and dad's room. You're moving up in the world. You and Derek strolled back to the main section to explore the dining area and kitchen. He described the treasures inside each cupboard, and you even got to check inside the fridge. It's difficult to pretend the contents was some part of tourist adventure experience. There are things in there spread out sparsely among shelves, with water bottles, colourful sports drinks, a jug of 2% milk, a box of salad greens, and a few containers of some kind of packed meals. Derek quickly cleared his throat, feeling as if he needed to explain the sign in front of you.
Oops.
I don't have much stocking right now. I usually eat at my parents' place or get takeout. I'm on vacation, sort of a working vacation. But I should change that, especially since there's now somebody else here. He swung his arm to the side to close the fridge, but yanked it back a crack before it shut. The balls in the door clattered. Oh, do you need water or anything? Drink? I've at least got that. I'm alright.
Whatever works.
That's cool. The sightseeing moved back into the living room from there. Fun tidbits that were about to switch on. His fun tidbits there were about which switch turned on which light and how to turn on the fan. And here's the last stop. With a flourish, he pulled open the sliding door that led out to the balcony. Thanks again, the door. You're welcome. Derek gestured once more to the wide open door. After you. You were losing track of how many doors he had opened for you already, but you walked through the latest one into the sizzling summer air. The view was more breathtaking than you had realized from the living room. You could see for miles the sea, the sprawling city, and the rolling hills beyond that. Neither of you spoke for a moment. Derek moved past you and leaned against the railing. He stared out of the vast world ahead of him. He rested against it too, right next to Derek. He didn't flinch. Derek welcomed your presence with ease. This was the part I was most into about the apartment. Whatever place I got, I knew it had to have a balcony. Even a small one would have been fine, but this one is amazing. He pinched up his shoulders and sent a grin your way.
All right.
So that's it, the whole place. Unless you actually want to see inside my room. The suggestion was given with a coy brow raise and a little laugh. I would like to see that sometime, he teased. If he hadn't been holding on to something, he might have fallen over. It was such a stun. But it was an entirely positive way. He chuckled, flattered. Then, maybe later. Derek pushed himself up from the bar to stand at his full height. This is such perfect timing! We're going to be in town for Father's Day tomorrow. That was right. You'd be present to spend the holiday in person with the Suarez family. You used to spend that day celebrating with Mr. Holden until you moved away. Yeah, it'd be a bit of a hassle going to PVC from Sunset Bud. It's like a couple of hours away, I think. I don't know. Thanks to Derek's surreptitious invite to Father's Day, the first year you met him, you were able to be honest about how you viewed Mr. Holden. It led to a change in the ways you spent the holiday from then on, because the feelings of familiar affection were mutual. Mr. Holden was thrilled to have you there for the Father's Day celebrations, and that continued until you no longer lived close enough to do it. And you also kept in touch with Mr. Suarez by sending cards. That was just as important. You're grateful to have two great dads who cared for you. You were looking forward to being in town for the occasion, to say the least. Derek spoke up again to elaborate on the plan. I'll be going to see my dad and everyone else. That's pretty obvious. We're just gonna hang out at their place.
Well...
I know you might have your own plan with your own dad, but I was thinking that maybe we could have a combination of Father's Day get together. It's so rare that we're all here. It feels like a waste to separate for the holiday. That's why I figured we could invite Mr. Holden over. He loves you, and my dad loves you. And the two of them are best friends. I doubt they'll have a problem with that, as long as you don't mind meshing your celebration with theirs. It's not going to be a huge party, just going to my parents' place to hang out. You don't need to get a gift from my dad either. I got him a tie, but it's not a big deal. I was gonna suggest the same thing. Alright. He rubbed his hands together eagerly.
Phew.
Tomorrow's gonna be a great day. Look at me, inviting you to Father's Day directly like a big boy. Derek was so tickled inside and out that he scratched his cheek and let out a rumbling chuckle. It's amazing, Derek. I'm proud. Thanks. His gaze swept over the city once more, as his mind began to wander away from where his body was planted on the balcony. Man, it's insane how much time goes by. It's been, what, 10 years since we first met? Wait. There's just a realization. He whispered the words again, with the gravity of a long-lost spell. 10 years. It's been 10 years since that first summer we spent together. Derek's voice indeed sped up faster and faster. He ran a hurried hand through his short hair, stumbling back from the railing. Oh, wait. Hold on. He can't face you anymore. Derek stared hard at nothing, with his jaw clenched. It felt impossible then. But it happened. We've actually became an adult. Time's up. He finally realized it. Oh my god. He finally realized it. You've been waiting for that. Took him long enough. He never forgot what 10 years meant. Derek's face darkened, mainly in the cheek area. He was full of uneasy energy that came out of the constant shifting in the position of his feet.
Oh, man.
That's awkward, huh? I really haven't planned this one out as well as my teenage brain had thought I had. It was true. Time was up. You and he were an entire decade older than you were then. And more than that, you had gone from barely being older than children to being adults. Derek had graduated high school and college, he had a car, a place of his own, probably had student loans. It was just as he imagined as 13, and at this point, he intended to complete that vision of grown-updom by marrying you. You initiated a serious conversation about the deal. Derek, what do you want to do now? He shut his mouth. He blinked. He thought. He stalled. Derek suddenly had been dropped into a game where he didn't know the person in front of him was on the same team or the opposite side. Ultimately, he played a safe play and kept the ball in the middle of the court. I'll be as serious about this as you are, whatever that means. I'm pretty serious. We have planned to be together. If he wouldn't take that, if he wouldn't make his standing clear, then you would. Derek gasped like this metaphorical sport was full impact, and you nailed him straight on.
So...
Well, then you don't think it's totally stupid. We agreed to that deal because we thought we'd be good together. Maybe we should see if that's true. We could date? His tepid words, shaky expression, and uneasy stance were a perfect reflection of the boy who first suggested the plan. Just see how it goes, right? Because we have that deal. The long list of irresolute questions was punctured by one single definitive statement. I'll be up for trying. Yeah, we're still kind of fiancés.
No way!
No way! That flash of disbelief was immediately eclipsed by a wholehearted cheer, loud enough that it might have been heard on the balconies of the next building over. Then it's a deal! Or, it's still the deal. We're on a mission to figure out if that plan was a horrible mistake or not. Brimming with confidence, Derek held his hand out towards you in the exact same way he had almost exactly 10 years ago. You kissed him on the lips instead. You weren't going to break tradition, and moved right past the hand he offered to instead press your lips gently against his. Somehow, the repeated gesture still surprised him. When you pulled away, he was left gawking at you. Derek was even more starstruck than Nicholas watching his favorite big brother do a cool soccer stunt. You were miles away from the old playground, and so much had changed for you and for him, but the promise you made together was officially reaffirmed. Derek's fingers ghosted down past the sides of his mouth, as if touching it too directly would wipe away the lingering spark of affection. It meant something to him. You weren't simply romantic backups for a hypothetical future. In the present moment, you were two people who were dating each other. That was hard to believe, but Derek's brilliant smile was that directed. That was hard to believe, but Derek's brilliant smile was there, directed right at you, and you knew that Derek never lied. It was real.
You doing okay?
Hey, so how tired are you after all that traveling? Because I was thinking, well, if you wanted, we could go visit our families now. His enthusiasm was palpable. He felt ensnared by his sparkling green eyes. I know we're gonna see them tomorrow, but there's no law saying we have to wait till then. The idea had you re-energized and ready to hit the road again. The corners of your mouth curled into a grin. Count me in! Awesome! Oh! Wait, are we telling people about our deal? Derek crossed his arms. You could tell he was trying to stay cool, calm and collected, but it was obvious he was anxious. We might be getting married in a few months after all. My family is going to be so blindsided. They have no idea I asked you to be a spouse when we grew up. If you were still single, of course, and still interested. You get what I mean. I didn't tell my moms about that either. We should let everyone know about our great plan at this point. But if they know, right? It was clear that the reality of the situation was starting to sink in, and
I
Derek.
got you.
Oh my god! This is one sensitive mouse! It was clear the reality of the situation was starting to sink in, and Derek awkwardly laughed. He stared at himself by taking in a deep breath.
I got you.
That's fair. So, what are the chances they think this plan is just as great as we do? It'll be a surprise, that's for sure, but they'll be thrilled for us. Once the shock wears off. Right.
Leave it to me.
I'm gonna call my parents to let them know what's up. I know they'll be there. I'll see about getting in touch with Clary, too. If we're lucky, we might get full house. His mouth cracked into a fond smile. This'll be quick. You won't even miss me. Or maybe you will. I wouldn't mind that. You teasingly shoved him away. I won't be able to if you don't go. Get to it.
Right.
True. Satisfied, Derek pulled his phone out and brought it to his ear. He began to walk away in preparation for the talk. Since he was busy with that, you decided to return to your guest room. Considering freshening up by changing, you tapped your fingers on top of the bag. You cycled through the options you had in mind, but nothing felt right. Eventually, you settled on using the bathroom and splashing some water on your face instead. As you crossed the apartment, you peeked over at Derek. There was no way you could know what was being said, but he shot you an exaggerated thumbs up. You took it as a strong sign that all was going well. Hopping excitedly, you gave him two thumbs up back. You couldn't wait to get going. It wasn't very long before your visit was properly arranged. The calls were ended, and you were leaving the apartment behind. Derek hesitated at the door, but tapped his bottom lip. He was double checking his mental checklist, but that was resolved in short order. You both stepped out into the hallway. This time you remembered to lock the door before he dashed down the hall. Hopping into his car, you promptly took off. The drive was lively. You spent it taking in turns, telling each other new stories about your families and your latest personal adventures. Thanks to slow-moving traffic, it was a 20-minute drive to reach his parents' new place. Derek pulled in and automatically noted how lucky you were that this condo had guest spots.